Hello YouTube. It is Sunday, September 23rd, 2018. I apologize for not putting out a video last week. Things were a little bit busy around here. Now, the first thing I want to get out there is congratulations to the Boston Red Sox for winning the AL East, or becoming the AL East champions. Now, let's take the Division Series and the World Series. The Red Sox have tied their 1912 record of 105 wins. If they win tonight against the Indians, a game I'm supposed to be watching right now, but instead I'm recording this video. If they win tonight's game, they'll have an all-time record. We're looking at a team that has become one of the hottest teams since 2003. Their manager, Alex Cora, has shown that he's got the mettle to take this team to a World Series win. Now, one of the things that kept me from posting a video yesterday is recently I've become the victim of ID theft. I had recently had to have my debit card canceled because somebody in Utah had made a purchase that I had no idea where it came from. So I got a new card. I made a purchase of a TENS unit for my neck. And now it turns out that somebody bought 4 airline tickets for China. So that debit card has now been shredded. I urge everybody to keep an eye on their bank accounts. Most banks actually have apps that allow you to keep an eye on the transactions. If you have any fraudulent transactions occur, you can notify your bank immediately. Most banks will be more than happy to file a dispute. You'll have to fill out some paperwork, but they'll reverse the charges. I'm in the process of having those charges reversed on my checking account. Credit card theft, ID theft is becoming a major problem in this country. Definitely keep an eye on your accounts, folks. Personally, I think anybody that commits ID theft or credit card theft should be kneecapped. Now, I had wanted to go ahead and post about this last week when it was still fresh. Of course, for the last 2 weeks now, there's one topic that's been eating up the 24-hour news cycle. And I'm going to say at the very start of this piece that sexual assault and rape are bad. So are false accusations of sexual assault or rape. So, 2 weeks ago, Comrade Senator Dianne Feinstein, and the reason I call her Comrade is because in my book, she's socialist. She's so far left, she might as well be in bed with Lenin or Stalin. So, Feinstein received an anonymous report back in July that she, out of the blue, sprang on everybody. Oh, Judge Kavanaugh sexually assaulted Dr. Christine Blasey Ford back in 1982. 36 years ago, folks. And we're just finding out about this. Now, had there been something before this? Had she reported this previously? Before 2012 when she was in therapy? Then maybe, I'd say it's a possibility. Remote, but a possibility. I don't know why Dianne Feinstein waited until 2 weeks ago to put the allegations out there, except to say that it's politically motivated. This is another example of Democrats weaponizing allegations to oppose Trump, the Republican Party, and to do anything they can to remain in power. The Democrats did not like losing Congress and the Senate. They did not like the idea of President Trump being elected. So, in her allegations, Dr. Ford alleges that 36 years ago, when she was 15 and Brett Kavanaugh was 17, they were at a party and Kavanaugh, who was allegedly drunk, tried to remove her bathing suit top. Why did she wait so long to come forward with this? It is impossible to prove allegations of sexual assault 36 years after the fact. There are also conflicting accounts from Ford and her therapist. Ford says that there were 2 people there. The therapist says there were 4 people there, and this is based on transcripts of the therapy sessions. Now, Ford alleges that there were 2 people present, Kavanaugh and a friend, who allegedly broke up Kavanaugh and Ford, prevented Kavanaugh from sexually assaulting Ford. Kavanaugh and the friend both deny these allegations. Now, of course, as I said, the therapist documents that there were 4 people, but Ford says that there were 2. Is the therapist lying? Did the therapist make a mistake listening to the audio tape? Did Dr. Ford maybe... I mean, come on. On top of that, Dr. Ford does not know when the assault occurred, where the assault occurred, or who was there. Sexual assault and rape need to be reported immediately, or as soon as possible thereafter. For sexual assault, this is so that you have a clear recollection of the events that took place. It can be difficult to remember what took place an hour ago, much less 36 years ago. Witnesses vanish. Witnesses forget. In the case of a rape, you need evidence. Hospitals have rape kits. You report a rape, you're taken to a hospital. First thing you're told, do not take a shower. Bodily fluids are evidence. So she waits 30 years to report this to a therapist. And then she waits an additional 6 years to bring the allegations out, conveniently because Brett Kavanaugh is now nominated to the Supreme Court. I think this is politically motivated. I'll also throw in there that this case, besides the point, people who make false accusations of sexual assault and rape should be punished equally with rapists and people who commit sexual assaults. The allegations of a rape or a sexual assault can be just as damaging as the actual act they're accused of. Now, Dr. Ford allegedly had to leave her home. Her email account, social media accounts have allegedly been hacked, and supposedly she's had death threats. And guess what? Brett Kavanaugh and his wife have also had death threats. So this cuts both ways. Now, the Senate has bent over backwards to try to accommodate Dr. Ford in coming forward and testifying before the Senate. But she turns around and has all kinds of conditions on doing so. Her lawyers have tried to delay time and again her testimony before the Senate. Ford will agree, and then she'll say no. Then she'll agree again. Then she'll have conditions like a full FBI investigation, which, once again, is outside their purview. Not going to happen. Then she's got the condition that Judge Kavanaugh testifies first before the Senate to the accusations, and then she testifies. That's not how our system works. Anybody accused of a crime has the right to confront those who are testifying against him. They have the right to know what the accusations are. So in this case, Dr. Ford is going to have to testify first. Judge Kavanaugh is a great jurist, from what I've heard. He's not psychic. He can't answer to accusations against him that haven't been stated. And the accused testifying first goes completely against our legal system. This is, once again, in my opinion, a politically motivated attempt at character assassination. Even if Judge Kavanaugh goes through all of these hearings before the Senate on these accusations, and it's determined that he didn't do this, there's always going to be that shadow of a doubt. Did he actually do it? Now, the only witnesses of Ford's defense say that the news of the party was all over school the next day when this occurred in the summer. School wasn't in session. Others can only testify that they heard Ford mention this in the past. When in the past? Did she mention it in 1982? Probably not. And how can you accuse somebody of doing something when you don't know when, where, or with whom? Now, in the last 15 or 20 minutes, I had, actually closer to 30 minutes now, I caught a news report that there is now a woman in New York that seems to be trying to get her share of the spotlight with an allegation that Kavanaugh exposed himself to her while she was in college. And this is quoting that report that came over Microsoft and probably came from the New Yorker. Deborah Ramirez, 53, told the New Yorker that Kavanaugh exposed himself at a college dorm party when they were both studying at Yale. He, quote unquote, thrust his penis in her face and caused her to touch it without her consent as she pushed him away. This comes out just all of a sudden. I'll bet you that Deborah Ramirez has ties to the Democratic Party. Now, on to other news. Last week I had caught an article. I don't remember who had written the article, what publication it was from, but it appears that millennials prefer socialism over capitalism. Surprise, surprise. We're talking about a group of people collectively who would rather sit around, play Call of Duty, and have mommy and daddy give them everything that they want. I've got a news flash for millennials. It's time to get off your asses, get out there, get a job, and join the rest of the country in earning a living. Now, millennials seem to want to have government provide everything for them, just like mommy and daddy used to when they were in high school. It's time for them to grow up. We don't live in a nanny state. I have to work for a living, my wife has to work for a living, my daughter has to work for a living, and my son, when he graduates high school, will have to work for a living, even while he's in college. That is life. Millennials seem to have difficulty grasping these concepts that my wife has referred to as adulting. Millennials also argue that capitalism has killed more people than socialism. Wrong. Socialism has killed probably hundreds of millions. Now, you've got tens of millions killed by Stalin. You've got tens of millions killed by Mao. You've got who knows how many killed by North Korea. Then all the people killed by these revolutions to establish socialist governments, and people killed to throw off those same socialist governments when it's realized that socialism is a failure. I'm pretty sure socialism and communism has killed far more people than capitalism ever has. Every nation that has gone to a socialist system has been destroyed by it. You look at the USSR, you look at China, then you've got Venezuela, Zimbabwe, Romania, North Korea. Socialism and communism are failures. The argument that socialism hasn't been implemented properly is a stupid argument. There's no proper way to implement socialism. It always leads to an authoritarian system. It always leads to the destruction of the country that has gone into a socialist system. And it kills the people that live in that country. There's also the argument that Nordic countries are a wonderful example of socialism. They're not socialist. They're free market economies that just happen to have a very large welfare state. Taxes there are exorbitantly high. If I lived in Norway, for instance, and I wanted to buy a car, I could buy any car on the market if I could afford it. The problem is the taxes are 300% of the cost of the vehicle. I might be able to afford a $10,000 car, but I'm not going to be able to afford the taxes on that car. And, of course, our beloved millennials love the democratic socialists of America. I don't think any of them have read DSA's platform. I have. It's socialism. It doesn't matter whether it's socialism or democratic socialism. Putting democratic at the beginning of it doesn't make it any better. I mean, case in point. This is not a knife. This is a democratic knife. This is the country taken over by that democratic knife. Why, it seems to me, that democratic knife cuts just the same as a regular knife. Putting democratic in the front of it does not change its nature. It's kind of like taking a nice fresh dog turd, covering it with gold dust and diamond chips, and then calling it a treasure. It's not a treasure, it's a piece of shit. Communism is also a piece of shit, covered in maggots. All these millennials that want to push for socialism are just going to have to come to terms with the fact that the United States will never be a socialist nation. Socialism runs counter to every founding principle of this nation, everything that this nation stands for. So, no, we're not going to become the socialist states of America. Socialism is a dead experiment, folks. It's time to accept this and move on. Socialism and communism have gone the way of the dinosaurs. They need to die and go extinct. If you can't accept that fact, I'm sorry, there's no help for you. And that is going to be it for this week. I apologize if I've been rambling on. I had recorded a video earlier, but unfortunately I didn't make sure that the microphone on my camera was working first. So I had 40 minutes worth of video of me just that kind of sucks. I'm also not going to edit this video. I'm going to put this video in raw form. Also, I am going to try to put a card at the end of my videos linking to my other channel, Tolo 2, which is my 280ZX restoration channel. And I will be putting an end card at the ends of those videos for this channel. And as always, if you like what you see, hit that like button, subscribe. That'll help me give better content in the future. And hit that notification bell. That way when I post a new video, you'll be notified. Thank you and have a wonderful week.